All right, sellers, I am talking to you today about the multi-million dollar deal killer. When a multi-million dollar real estate transaction collapses, most people are quick to ask the wrong question. They ask, who's entitled to keep the earnest money? But if you're selling a luxury asset, the amount of money held in escrow is like couch change compared to the real financial catastrophe at hand. The true danger of a failed deal isn't losing the buyer, it's what the buyer leaves behind. In the luxury space, when a contract falls through after an inspection, your property becomes legally contaminated. Today, we are looking at the hidden legal trap that transforms your pristine luxury listing into a compromised, stale asset. All right, here's the exact strategy that you need to protect your wealth when a deal goes sideways. The emotional fallout is when the buyer and seller clash over inspection requests and the seller's immediately angry. When the seller is angry, it's easy to say, I'm not doing any of these requests. I'm not giving them any concessions. Let them walk. I'll sell it to someone else. That's not exactly what we're going for. And this is the trap you're falling for because you, as the seller, are now emotionally hooked. The reality check is that the days on market is a predatory metric. The moment your property goes from pending to active, a digital clock starts ticking, and everyone in the luxury market, real estate agents, buyers, and other sellers, can see that your house fell out of contract, which means what is wrong with the house? It's an automatic assumption, which leads me to the mandatory disclosure trap. Most real estate agents aren't going to warn you or tell you that when your house falls out of contract, you as the seller and your real estate agent, we are all bound to the law to disclose anything and everything that is found in the inspection report. Well, how do we know it's on the inspection report? Because when the buyer cancels, they are looking for a reason to give the seller. The inspection requests are written out on a document. Along with that document is the inspection report. The seller now has the inspection report. They know everything that's wrong with the house and they know exactly what the buyer wants them to fix. Now, you as the seller, whether it's Arizona or Florida or probably any other state, literally says the law requires the seller to disclose material, important, facts about the property, even if you are not asked by the buyer or a real estate agent. These disclosure obligations remain even if you and the buyer agree that no seller's property disclosure statement will be provided. It's the law. You have to disclose it. You can't pretend like you don't know what's going on or that you never saw it. That's also not building any trust with the buyer. So let's talk about the risk mitigation strategy. We have two options. We either work with the current buyer. It's either going to be seller concessions, fixing things, a credit, whatever it is. And then we have the option two of going back to the market and eventually doing a price cut. I'm going to explain to you why working with the first buyer is more advantageous. The math for seller concessions makes so much more sense because in the long run, the $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 that the buyer is asking you to either give them as a credit or to fix is not going to compare and is going to be a small amount compared to staying on the market, having more days add up, your carrying costs, and eventually making a $100,000 price reduction, a $150,000 price reduction. If you drop the buyer you're working with over $30,000 and you go back to the market, I already told you there's a stigma. Now everybody thinks that there's something wrong with the house. The questions come in, we have to disclose. You as a seller have the opportunity to remedy those items, the big items that are on the house that we think every single buyer is going to ask to have corrected anyway, which is why it makes it smart to come back to buyer one that you're working with right now and make sure that they're happy and get it done. You can negotiate the amount of money that you give them. Just because a buyer is asking for $50,000, it doesn't mean that's what you owe them. You can come back after getting your own estimates and say, hey, The vendors I chose said that the total was actually only $35,000. So I'm willing to give you $35,000. The buyer's probably going to take it. So you just saved $15,000 and you didn't even have to give the full 50 they were asking for in this example. Versus going back to the market and you're going to have crickets. It's going to be stale. It's going to be slower showings. It's going to not go the way you think, because when you receive that first offer, you need to ask yourself, how many other offers have I received? How close is this to my asking price? And what's going to happen if I don't work with this buyer right now? I think a good rule of thumb, kind of like a little asterisk here, is that sophisticated sellers don't blow up deals over numbers that represent less than 2% of the total assets value. So if you need something and you're a numbers person, there you go. So at the end of the day, it will cost you less to work with the buyer that you have in front of you right now versus going back to the market, doing price drops, waiting for someone else to show up and trying to sell down the road, or potentially being stuck with the asset that you no longer want. If you are looking to sell in any city in the country, please reach out. I have a whole list of hidden equity vetted real estate agents across the country, and I can help you with finding somebody in your city.